Hello everybody and welcome to the September instalment of the 2022 Mystery Blanket Club. We are about to begin instalment number 7 out of 10. So we are well over halfway through this year's project. I can hardly believe it. We've had a super summer here in the UK, full of plenty of sunshine. A couple of heat waves too, which were a tad too hot for knitting, but we're always grateful here for sunshine in the UK, so it's been truly a wonderful summer. But as the summer holidays now draw to a close, Seth is back at school in a couple of weeks' time. Our thoughts now turn to autumn, winter, new projects, and I'm certainly busy at the moment working on my autumn winter projects and new projects for 2023. You should have received an email from us about our 2023 Mystery Blanket launch, which has now happened. You can now sign up for the next Mystery Blanket Club, which begins in February. In the email, there's lots of information about next year's club, so I'm not going to talk about that now. I would suggest that you read that email and see what I've got in store for you. Of course, it's a mystery, so I don't tell you too much about the project, but hopefully just enough to get you interested and to persuade you to sign up. So perhaps go and take a look at that email if you haven't already read it, and hopefully you will decide to join me on another knitting adventure in 2023. I've had a few emails this month about sewing the strips together, and there seems to be a little bit of confusion with some of you over where to begin that seam. So when you sew strips 1 and 2 together, you need to begin sewing, and if I can show you here on page 21 of the September mail out here, these are actually squares 48 and 49, but they're the same as squares 1 and 2, and you're beginning your seam at row 1, at the side edge of row 1. You're not seaming from the point of the wavy edge here at the bottom, you're sewing from the side edge here. Okay, so you'll need to locate row 1 on square 1, put a marker in if necessary, and that is where you begin seaming. So hopefully that's clear, but if it's not, pop me an email and I'll try to explain it in greater detail, but hopefully that's clear now, and you can get on with sewing your strips 1 and 2 together if you haven't already done so. Okay, so there are 6 squares to knit up this month, and they include 2 panels. Okay, so I'm going to go through the squares now with a little bit of information about each one just to get you started. So the very first square is a new one. It's square 18 Chic, and this is a cable pattern with hooked in beads. Now the cables are all twisted to the left, so that they're a cable 8 front, holding the stitches to the front of the work. It twists the cables to the left, and they are worked on right side and wrong side rows, so just be very careful there. The explanation for which is on page 27 of your September mail out. You will see that the explanation for cable 8 front on wrong side and right side rows has been added to the abbreviation list. Now the edges of this cable are crisped up by working 2 stitches at each of the outer edges through the back of the loop. So just watch out for that too. It does take a little bit longer to knit a cable when you're working through the backs of the loops, but I believe it makes it so much crisper, so much cleaner, and it results in a much better looking cable. So it has hooked in beads too, which are hooked in little blocks of 4 in the middle of each cable. You have a worded pattern and a chart. You can use both to work from, or you can just choose from one or the other. It's totally up to you, but if you work from the chart or you work from the worded, you will get the same result. Okay, so there's a choice there about how you can work that pattern. The next squares to knit are a panel. They're squares 34 and 35, but they are cast on and knitted separately. So you'll be knitting square 35 and then you'll be knitting square 34. It's how it's laid out in the pattern instructions, but just to be aware that this is one of those panels that is going to be added in at the top of the blanket. So it's kind of added in upside down. It's exactly the same as squares 15 and 16 Lanvin that you knitted, probably back, possibly in April, I think. It was a long time ago. So just a little bit of knitting revision there when you reknit those squares for squares 35 and 34. The fourth square you are knitting this month is Sauvage, and this is another repeat, a repeat of square 17. It's an exact repeat. It uses beads. I believe it's shell. Let me just check that. I think it's shell and pebble beads, okay, on that one. And this one has the twisted stitches where the stitches are worked so that they lean towards the left. Okay, so they're leaning that way across the square. This is knitted after square 34. So you're going to be working square 35, square 34, and then square 33. And you'll be leaving the stitches for Sauvage live so that they can be joined to square 32 later on in the project. That's all in the pattern instructions. So just make sure that you read them thoroughly and carefully before you begin. The final panels to knit are 48 and 49, which are exactly the same as squares 1 and 2. Okay, and I spoke about them a little bit earlier. I showed them on the piecing diagram when I was talking about that wavy edge. So they will be cast on and knitted separately as well. And that completes your squares for this month. 6 squares to knit up as we get closer to that final instalment in December. Just 3 more to go, a handful of squares to knit up. You can probably guess by looking at the piecing diagram what some of the squares are going to be, but there are some new ones to come too. So lots to look forward to in the final instalments of this year's club. So I'm going to sign off now and let you get on with your September squares. Don't forget to check out the 2023 Mystery Blanket Club on our website. Memberships are there, ready now to sign up to. I really do hope that you decide to join me. It's going to be a fabulous new knitting adventure, new colours, brand new theme, totally different adventure. And I really hope that you decide to come on board and take part in this very exciting new knitting journey next year. Until next month then, please take care of yourselves, keep busy, keep well, keep safe, and keep those needles clicking. I'll see you next month. Bye-bye.